Just for closing this chapter, I wanna kind of like mention a few different facts about the emotional anatomy of reproduction, because every reproductive organ mirrors an emotional archetype. For example, the ovaries and testes, they represent the creation and potential. The uterus and prostate, they kind of like represent the nurture and power. So the cervix is mostly the boundaries and your expression, and the vagina or penis is mostly the trust and surrender. So if there's trauma, guilt, or repression in these areas, it will manifest as painful periods, like I was saying, fibers or impotence or infertility. So there was a psychosomatic medicine study in 2022 that showed that any unresolved emotional stress directly alters the hypothalamic hormone release, impacting the ovulation and your libido. This means that healing your reproductive system begins by forgiving yourself and your lineage. And when you release shame, the body remembers pleasure. When you reclaim joy, the hormones flow. So, so the menopause is also like a very, very, kind of like a difficult conversation these days. And the truth is that menopause is not the end of fertility, it's the beginning of a new phase of wisdom. And during this transition, the estrogen and progesterone decline, but the body shifts from reproduction to regeneration. And supporting this phase naturally, you can actually have less effects in your body. And also, if you detox naturally, is better. I know that some women take synthetic hormones to deal with these problems, but I will completely recommend you not to do it. I'm very against anything that is synthetic. You can try instead maca root and black cohosh for hormonal balance, magnesium and vitamin B6 for the serotonin and relaxation. And there's also evening primrose oil for hot flashes and mood, and tulsi, which is holy basil, and gotu kola for adrenal and mental clarity. So Ayurveda views menopause as the gateway from householder to wise woman. Right? It's an invitation to channel your creation or creativity, all your energy inward into art, leadership, and healing. Because fertility doesn't mean just conception. It means the ability to give birth to ideas, dreams, and new ways of living. The mind and womb are connected by the same energetic thread. When creativity feels blocked, it's often because the stagnation limits the body's reproductive flow, because movement, expression, and self-trust restore both. Now, we were talking about also some of the nutritional keys for hormonal and reproductive health. I was gonna say that, for example, let me go back to the previous slide, and I think that will be helpful to just add a little bit to this one. Because zinc, we were saying that pumpkin seeds, oysters, they support testosterone ovulation. Then we also, for iron and folate, we have lentils that you can eat, spinach and beetroots. They nourish the blood and prevent fatigue. As far as the vitamin E, it's not listed here, but it's also D and E. They will be kind of like almonds, avocado. They protect the egg and sperm integrity. And then the omega-3s, like the flax, chia, sardines, they reduce inflammation and balance the hormones. Finally, the maca that I mentioned are adaptogens, same as the ashwagandha and the rhodiola, and they also enhance libido and endurance. Probiotics like yogurt or kefir, they also maintain vaginal and prostate health. So my recommendation is always to limit alcohol, any refined sugar, and processed soy, as they interfere with estrogen metabolism. So just to close this chapter, I just want you to know that the reproductive system teaches us one of our life's greatest truths, which is creation is sacred. It's the pulse that beats beneath pleasure, right? The intelligence that renews every cell, and the invitation to honor our divine ability to bring forth life in all its forms. Like I was saying, it's not just babies. When you nourish your creative center, physically, emotionally, and energetically, You don't restore fertility, you restore faith in your body's power to transform. So breathe into your belly, and you have to feel that rhythm of your inner tide. Right? And always remember that you are the creator, the creation, and the creative force itself. So we are very powerful beings, and I just wanted to add that to this chapter. So thank you. Now we're gonna go to the next one, to chapter 10, which is the skin. And that will be our last chapter. I think it's extremely powerful, the skin, because for me, at least, for most of my life, I had great skin that will heal pretty fast, because my skin is the best indicator when I have a health condition or an emotional reaction. I am very sensitive skin, and I know right away if I am not eating healthy or if I'm stressed, my health will tell me pretty quickly. And I was never used to listening to my body, as you know, but now I understand that whenever my skin reacts, it's because of an underlying problem. For example, my eczema issues started during the 2020 pandemic. So I was not able to function with an acidic diet and stress. My body was reacting from inside out. So these days I try to reduce inflammation by eating nourishing and alkaline foods, and also by applying Ayurveda oils at night to let me know that it's time to rest, and the skin will be really, really happy that you do that, because the Ayurveda oils are very natural also, and it will help you not only to feel very soft, but you will feel very relaxed. And let's just talk about their skin, which is not just an organ, right? It's a detox channel. It's a hormonal mirror, as I was saying, a lymphatic partner, an immune barrier, a nervous system extension. It's basically an emotional canvas and a map of inflammation and imbalance. And that's the key, because I've used it for that. Not in the past, but now is my biggest indicator of how I'm doing from the inside. Interesting fact, your skin regenerates itself every 28 to 40 days, meaning that your lifestyle literally becomes your face. So if the more beautiful skin you have, the more the healthier diet and lifestyle that you're having. Because radiance, detox, and emotional protection are all related to the skin. Because their skin reflects your inner chemistry, right? Emotions, the toxins, lymphatic health, hormones, and lifestyle, like I was saying. Because the skin is the largest body, is the largest organ in your body, around 2 square meters. And that's your beautiful skin. And it's also the autobiography your cells write every single day. So you gotta honor that. Okay, let me go to the next one. Okay. So now the learning outcomes for this chapter, we're gonna talk about the skin anatomy and biological function, microbiome and immune connection, how toxins manifest as skin inflammation, the heavy metals and the different skin reactions, hormonal skin mapping, the gut skin axis, we'll have that for eczema, acne, and rosacea, lymphatic support for skin glow, and anti-aging strategies rooted in science. Okay, the skin anatomy. So your skin is composed of epidermis, dermis, and the hypodermis. Now the epidermis is the waterproof barrier. It's basically your microbiome home, and that's where all the immune sentinels are. Like that's the first one, right? Then you have the dermis, where it's all the collagen store, elastin, blood vessels, hair follicles, the sweat and oil glands. Finally, the hypodermis, which is the fat layer, and your temperature regulator. Okay, so the skin as a detox organ, it is a detox organ because it removes heavy metals from your body, ammonia, urea, alcohol residues, pollutants, and hormonal metabolites, especially alcohol residues. And you will know that when people drink, that's why they tell you age more, just because you dry your skin. You're not highly, you're not hydrated enough. And how? Well, you do it through sweat, oil, cell turnover, and lymphatic drainage. Because really the skin's function is eliminating toxins through all of these sweats to protect your body. Okay, now what is the emotional anatomy of the skin? The skin represents, basically the boundaries. If you feel safe or not, the identity, how vulnerable you feel, your social connections, your visibility. Now, your skin issues often reflect unresolved shame, like unresolved emotions like shame, stress, fear, overwhelm, or childhood memory patterns. So let me just go back one more. So just so you know, your skin, not only the epidermis will renew 28 to 35 days, but there's also, the regarding your emotions, like that's also very, very impactful for your renewal. It's not just that you have 20 to 35 days. Yes, your body will act normally like that, but if you're not supporting yourself in any way, or if you're not processing your emotional imbalances, then this may not happen. And that's why the epidermis doesn't look healthy, or you look very, very like wrinkly, or just not, you know, just not very, very healthy skin. And that's why I'm saying, like, even if your body has that renewal ability, you may not get it if you're not doing all these different practices properly of how to, keep your skin healthy and detoxing from inside out. Because really, within all these layers, they live trillions of microorganisms, and your skin microbiome, which is what plays a crucial role in immunity and inflammation control. Okay, so now let's talk about microbiome. So your skin has more than 1 trillion microbes, sorry. When balanced, microbes protect against pathogens, keep inflammation low, support any wound healing, maintain moisture, and when in balance, they actually are responsible for the acne, the eczema, the rosacea, psoriasis, and any chronic dermatitis. So the skin microbiome diversity decreases with processed foods, as we know, that diet is everything. And also, I would say that diet and emotions together. Now, there's a constant talk between your skin and gut. And the leaky gut, for example, will create inflamed skin. The dysbiosis will generate acne. The low stomach acid is what creates, what kind of like causes rosacea. The high cortisol will do the eczema, which I used to have because I was under a lot of stress, and the constipation, the dull skin. Because supporting your gut health, it's supporting skin health. So this is not negotiable. Once you have the symptoms, they get aggravated, and if you don't pay attention to them, it becomes even worse. There's also the liver and skin axis, right? When the liver struggles to detox, skin takes over. So that's why you have the result acne, rashes, dermatitis, hyperpigmentation. Sources of liver overload is also the alcohol, we said, the sugar, any hormonal birth control, which are pretty, damaging, caffeine, stress, pesticides, and heavy metals. So when the liver and kidneys are overwhelmed, the skin steps in as a backup, right? As a backup detox organ. Acne, eczema, psoriasis, dermatitis often appear when internal elimination systems are sluggish. So basically, that's when you know something is not properly working for many reasons. Heavy metals, like the ones that we mentioned before, also can accumulate in the dermal layer, disrupting the collagen formation. And that's what triggers the oxidative stress. And all of these toxins will weaken your skin barrier, and it will make it more reactive to sunlight, cosmetics, and pollution. So that's why we need to make sure that we're eating healthy and we're having a proper detox protocol. Now, what about the lymphatic system? So the lymphatic system, as you remember, removes the waste in your body. We talk about this in the first few chapters. Now, when it's stagnant, the skin becomes puffy, inflamed, congested. So there's also a lymph skin axis. And this is why everything is connected. Like I was saying, every system is not individual. They're all very, very, very well designed and connected in your body. And any signs of poor lymph flow will be like under the eye bags that you don't like, cellulite, acne on the cheeks, neck stiffness, and the skin dullness. Now let's talk about heavy metals on the skin. So we were saying that the heavy metals like arsenic, mercury, and nickel can accumulate in the dermal layer, and that will disrupt the collagen formation, triggering oxidative stress. Now, these toxins also, like I said, weaken the skin barrier, and it becomes your skin becomes even more sensitive. So you need chelation-supported nutrients, such as vitamin C, zinc, selenium, and chlorophyll, which will help restore the skin's detox capacity. Heavy metals really alter, the function of your skin, and they damage collagen. Now, if you don't know, keratinocyte is an epidermal cell that produces keratin. And that's why you have, kind of like a quick summary of what mercury does is rashes, hyperpigmentation. The lead causes dry skin and premature aging. Aluminum is all kind of like the the culprit for all the inflammation and itching. Arsenic is what creates the dark spots and lesions, and then the cadmium is the eczema-like reactions that it generates. So it's pretty harmful for your body. Okay, now let's talk about other, I would say, more Ayurvedic terms. What are the root causes for the acne? Gut dysbiosis, which is the microbial imbalance. Insulin spikes, especially if you like a lot of the sweets, or you eat, especially the milk. I've noticed high cortisol. The high cortisol is also from the stress. Sorry, I was talking about also the milk because it impacts your gut, but the insulin is obviously the sugar. Now you have the synthetic hormone disruptors and the omega-6 overload that can happen too. What are the spots mapping? So you will see it in the jawline for the hormones. The cheeks is your lymphatic system. Forehead is your digestion. And your nose is your cardiovascular. Very interesting fact. Now we have also eczema and psoriasis, right? They're usually connected to the leaky gut that we talk about. And the histamine sensitivity, as well as immune overactivation, liver congestion, emotional overload, and cold heat imbalance. So in Ayurveda, we call it pitta, right? It is when you have red inflamed rashes. Vata, it kind of like represents itself as dry eczema. And then the kapha is the thick plates. So we all have it's the same thing by different terms, but it's basically how your body it's reacting and how we classify these reactions. Now we have Ayurvedic skin type 1, which is when the vata is dry, thin and easily irritated. That's when you need oils, warmth, and grounding. Best remedies: sesame oil, almond oil, hydration, and warm foods. Now, there's also Ayurvedic skin type 2. And that one is when the pitta, when it's sensitive, it's prone to inflammation and redness. And that's when you need more cooling, soothing, and calming practices or balms that can help you get there. And the best remedies, of course, are the aloe, rose, cucumber, and coconut. Okay, so just before we continue, I want to mention something. Let me go back really quick. So kapha skin is basically when you have these three terms, the oily, the thick, and the prone to congestion. Whereas we have here, just so you can remember this with me. Sorry, I was trying to go back to the first one. Vata is dry, thin, and prone to aging. And that's when you need more nourishment and oiling. Pitta skin is sensitive, warm and reactive, and that's when you need the cooling herbs and calm. And I was saying kapha is when it's oil thick and prone to congestion. That's type 3. And that's when you need detox and stimulation. And the best remedies are the clay masks that I highly recommend: dry brushing, ginger, and lemon. I just wanted to summarize this for you. Now, the skin supporting foods: omega-3s, chia seeds, salmon, blueberries, lemon water, dark leafy greens, papaya, turmeric, ginger, and pumpkin seeds. Now, remember that there's also like a lot of other things that you can use especially if you're gonna go through the chelation supportive nutrients. But there's also mineral-rich clays like bentonite, zeolite, nemaceous earth, which bind toxins both internally and externally, gently clearing the skin from within. And I've tried it, some of these three of them actually, and they work pretty well. And also because there's it's a fact that individuals exposed to higher heavy metal levels showed elevated inflammatory markers in the skin and accelerated signs of aging. So we want to avoid that. That's why I keep saying that it's important to keep a balanced diet and also support your skin depending on the type of skin you have. So you have to know that at least because we all are different, right? And we have different reactions. In Ayurveda, the skin is a direct reflection of Agni, which is the digestive fire, and the balance of Pitta dosha. So when the Agni burns too strong, the inflammation, the acne, and the redness appear. And when it's weak, then that's when the skin becomes dull, dry, and lifeless. So that's why we have all these three different classifications for this. Now, what are some good nutrients for skin repair? You say the vitamin A is good for cell turnover. Vitamin C is for collagen. Vitamin E, antioxidant. Zinc is good for wound healing. Selenium is for elasticity. Silica is for the connective tissue. And probiotics is for your microbiome. Well, there are some rituals that you can use daily: dry brushing, hydration, 10-minute sweating. The lymphatic drainage is really good, facial massages, and consistent sleep. I would say definitely sleep and hydration. Weekly saunas, also, you can do the clay mask, the cold plunges. I like the oil cleansing and the ionic detox. It's really good, especially if you have a lot of problems with your liver and kidneys, and any liver supporting teas will also help. What are some of the emotional triggers for your skin? So your skin actually reacts to criticism, stress, insecurity, shame, feeling seen, or feeling not enough. That's when you probably will have some skin flare-ups, often appear during big life changes, emotional suppression, high cortisol, breakups, and grief. And you need to understand your body and how to process this, to process all of this health in a healthy way. Now the anti-aging from the inside out. So we have the breath work, meditation, EFT tapping, self-soothing, nature walks, somatic grounding, similar to the other practices we've covered in other chapters. They're all related because our body needs all of this.